Just starting off the day for 3 minutes, for 5 minutes, if you can push it for 10 minutes, and just focus on your breathing when you wake up, it can make a very big difference to your day.
I've elongated my breath and taken my body to the extremes only to choose peace the entire time. They were like, wow, you have the lung capacity of an Olympic swimmer. And I don't even swim like that.
And when the mind says it's time to rest, that's the point to keep going.
If you're laying in your bed right now talking about how bad your life is, well, stop. Get up and just move. Build a routine. It doesn't have to be hard.
Welcome back to Mulligan Brothers. Today's video, as always, was sponsored by Huel. I'm drinking Huel Black Edition, which has 26 vitamins and minerals, 35 grams of protein and slow release carbs to make sure that I can stay satiated and proteined up whilst I make these documentaries. If you want to find out more about these, go to the link in the description. I'll talk about them a little bit later on in the video.
I'm lucky enough to be in San Francisco, and I live really close to UC San Francisco, which is a big research institution focused on medicine. And I was talking to Dr. Margaret Chesney, who has worked with the NIH, and she's also a professor at UCSF. And she studies breathing, and she studies dysfunctional breathing in office places. That's kind of her specialty. And she was telling me that an estimated 80% of office workers suffer from something called email apnea. What this is when you sit down, maybe it's at the beginning of the day or after lunch or whenever, you answer your emails and you open up all your screens and you say, oh my God, I have 30 emails. I got to get back to all these people. They're all mad at me. How am I ever going to do this? At the same time, somebody calls you. At the same time, you get a calendar entry for something. And when all of these things happen at once, when you're in the state of stress, you can stop breathing. Okay. And if you stop breathing for long enough and you continue in this manner, this can have some really deleterious effects on your health because you're not getting that constant supply of oxygen. And I asked her, I said, well, why do we stop breathing? Why don't we breathe too much? Why don't we hyperventilate? And she said, well, we do that too. But if you think about what we have learned to do through evolution, when we sense fear, right? Oh, there's an invading tribe coming into my cave. I need to be real quiet. We've adopted this skill to go, hold our breath so we're perfectly silent. And then, so we've taken this because we don't live in caves. Well, most of us don't live in caves now. We've taken these same patterns, these same dysfunctional views of fear and applied them to our office space, just as we were talking about earlier. So these dysfunctional breathing patterns, if we do this all day long, we're going to jack our cortisol, we're going to jack our adrenaline, we can jack our blood sugar. And if we do that for long enough, our bodies are just going to get worn down. And we're seeing this all over the place. So I think for office workers, if you want to be operating at peak level as well, dial in your breathing. Otherwise, you're going to be much more apt to burn out. And again, this isn't a leap of logic to get there. If you want to have energy and if you want to be present, you need to supply your body with oxygen. And if you're holding your breath or hyperventilating, your brain is not going to get the proper amount of oxygen to function properly. And so you're going to be at a disadvantage to your fellow coworkers. So again, easier said than done. What do? I use an app on my phone. You can use other little devices. So when you sit down in the morning, breathe in a paced pattern, about 5 to 6 seconds in, 5 to 6 seconds out. I keep this little sound going in the background, especially in the morning. It's this annoying little boo, so I don't have to look at anything. And then I can just lock into a proper respiratory rate right out of the gate, right when I start my workday. And it's made an incredible difference with me. I've taken my blood pressure, I've worn all kinds of devices for weeks at a time and looked at how dysfunctional my breathing was while I was working. And it was terrible. And I was wondering why at the end of the day, I was having these awful headaches and, other issues. And I was so tired. It's because I was struggling to get oxygen.
I'd love to hear just a simple breakdown that somebody could apply then for a breathing morning routine.
Sure. So what I've tried to do, and I just want to be clear, I'm not a breathing therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a breathing evangelist. That's not my role. I'm a journalist, right? I went into this world just trying to look at the subject in the most objective, non-political way as I possibly could. I have no skin in either game, either side of this argument between medical professionals, because there's doctors in my family, and other people who understand breathing in this different level, this psychic level. I just want to go in and get information. So having said that, that's the big caveat section of the podcast here. Yeah, of course, I picked up some tips, right, that I want to incorporate into my life. So just starting off the day, if you're able to just steal away for 3 minutes, for 5 minutes, if you can push it for 10 minutes, and just focus on your breathing when you wake up, it can make a very big difference to your day. I do a practice as part of something called Sudarshan Kriya, which is an inhale to 4, a hold to 4, an exhale to 6, a hold for 2. So inhale to 4, hold 4, exhale 6, hold 2. I find that that's very calming. You can do box breathing, inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. You just breathe into a box. You can find all this stuff on YouTube, right? The instructions are easy, but it doesn't need to be complicated for it to work. And that's what people are developing, these very elaborate breathing techniques. And okay, that works for you, but the simple stuff can be just as effective as the most complicated stuff. It just depends on how you do it. So if you're able to do that in the morning, that's great. But it's very important when you sit down and work, you open up your monitors and you're, oh man, what am I going to do today? You're stressed. So don't let that stress take over your body and your mind. Control your breathing. You control your breathing. You control your stress. So that's the anchor here. You can try different apps for that, different apps with different timers to just have a rhythm to your breath. Same inhale, same exhale is a good way of staying balanced, alert, and relaxed at the same time.
You guys know how much I love Huel. This is the best introduction into Huel in my opinion. It's their protein bundle, which makes a great Christmas gift. Huel have just sent me one of these, and I want to show you exactly what's in it. 8 bottles of the ready to drink in every single flavor. This is my absolute favorite. You get one of their standard shakers, Huel protein, and Huel Black Edition, my absolute favorite. 40 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, and slow release carbs to give everything that you need to get on with your day. Huel are doing exclusive offers right now. So if you check out the top pinned comment and use the link in the description, you can get exclusive offers from discounts to free t-shirts, free shakers. And if you use their subscription service, you get 10% off every single order. So go to the link down below. Thank you, Huel, for supporting this video.
People talk about morning routines all the time, but in terms of the morning routine or routine being at the cornerstone of taking that extra one step every single day and trying to be better every single day, I've not heard that before, and that creating that structure in someone's life. And I think it's just perfect advice. For men especially struggling with mental health, just create a routine that you can stick to and start, building on it, make it better. And the exercise thing as well, just having something to improve yourself every single day, measurable, little by little. But it's hard to get that message to people.
It is, and a lot of people, they want a quick fix. They want to take a pill and make it happen. Mm-hmm. It's not going to. And a lot of people, they set these goals that are so unrealistic, you ain't going to make them. You don't have the discipline to pull it off. And I know it's nice to hope and want and wish, it ain't going to work. Why don't you set a goal you can actually maintain? Like, let's go to bed at the same time every day for 7 days. Let's wake up at the same time every day for 7 days. Just do that. Let's add a 20-minute walk in after dinner. Let's add in one before you go to work. Now let's see what's realistic. Inside of your life structure, can you add a morning routine that has fitness before you go to work? No, because of this, and this. I tell you to find a little gray area, find a little buffer. Maybe you go to bed earlier, maybe you wake up earlier. There's something you can do just for you that makes you exponentially better without a lot of effort. And a lot of it is micro wins. I'm trying to stack up as many micro wins as humanly possible. Did I wake up at the same time that I was supposed to? Yep. Did I get my fitness in? Yep. Get a cold plunge in? Yep. 20-minute walk? Yep. Protein shake? Yep. Diet in check? Yep. Did I make my first meeting? Yep. That's 6 things before 10 a.m. I've done that 7 days a week, every day for 5 years. Pretty good, man. That's pretty repeatable. Do I do a 20-minute walk after dinner every night? Yeah, every night. That's pretty repeatable. I can knock that out. Do I take a shower every night? Yeah. So why couldn't I do a walk? If I'm not going to do a walk, do I take me and my wife and I go on the front porch for 10 minutes? 10 minutes, just you and me. Like, it's pissing down rain. The kids are going to watch a movie. Let's just get 10 minutes, you and me. Let's make it a routine every single night. 10 minutes, 5 for you, 5 for me. Data dump whatever's going on in your life. Send it to me. Right? Like, you can build a reasonable routine that only makes you, it builds a bond with your partner, whatever it's going to be. But people don't want to just line it out. They want to turn over. They want to listen to a Joe Rogan podcast or Andrew Huberman and go, oh yeah, it'll work for me too. They're so disciplined. And if you don't break that down in manageable chunks, you'll never do it. And now it'll be another loss column. Oh yeah, I tried keto, it didn't work. Oh, I tried this, it didn't work. I say it with diet all the time. Best diet in the world is the one you'll actually stick to. Doesn't matter what it is. That can be keto, that can be vegan, that can be whatever you want it to be. If you'll actually stick to it, that's the best diet for you. No different than that morning routine. Life has such a big physical component over it, and that's why I push it so much on military, police, firemen, just overall every day. Because to me, life is about processing information. Whether that be conflict, that could be navigating human terrain at the grocery store, it could be whatever it is. The better off I am physically gives me more options. I can process more information because there's no physical taxation to me processing that. Because if there is, I can already solve it. If there's a physical element in it, I don't even know what it is, I can pretty much get through it. Because I'm honest. There's not many things physically that I can't grind my way through. I got to jump on this, I got to push that, I got to pick this chip. I can do all that. If anybody else can do it, I can reasonably do it. And I think most people can, especially if you put forth just a little bit of effort, and the confidence that comes from that is really the key to mental health. It's stop feeling like a victim, and I say that to everybody else too. If you're going to talk about mental health from a fetal position, stop. Stop. If you're laying in your bed right now talking about how bad your life is, fucking stop. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to hear you from there. If you're going to talk about mental health, get up and do it in the grocery store. Get up and go interact with people. Say it to them out in town. Get up and just move. Build a routine. Wake up, drive your car 15 minutes, go sit at Starbucks and drink a coffee inside the restaurant. Do that. Just watch people interact. It pulls people out of depression. They don't want to listen to it. Like, I want to be alone. I know you do. That's why you've had this depression for 20 years. Get out and move. Be around people and see everybody's doing the same thing you are. And not a lot of people just want to put in that work, and they don't want to hear the real truth. The real truth is that everybody's got some stuff going on, man. Everybody. Just be open and share it.
It's funny, people like complicated morning routines, and they like to look at this magical morning routine that's all the bells and whistles. And I think a large portion of that is because if it's unreachable, then they don't have to do it. You know, there's some of that in it. But then also is they do, like, they look at, like you say, like Huberman or Joe Rogan or somebody like that, or yourself even, and they'll look at these routines and not realize that you built that step by step for a long time to eventually get there, and it fits your lifestyle. And it's not for everyone, but it doesn't mean that you can't have your own routine. I think what's lovely about your routine is part of it is a 20-minute walk. Most people can do that. But then, you know, some of the stuff in the gym that you're doing maybe is a little bit more difficult for some people. Maybe they need to build up to that. But yeah, I think people are looking for a magic answer, and they look towards people who have these amazing routines and think, oh, that's why they're so successful. Not because they built it up tiny little bit every single time and eventually arrived at this routine. And they're looking at the results rather than the thing that got them the results. I mean, we spoke about that today a few times.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. Like, I've been on the same morning routine since 2003, 4. Pretty much the same thing. I wake up at the same time, go to the gym the same time, pretty much eat the same meals. I've been drinking that same protein shake for 14 years. Like it's my routine because I adopt it because it works. And I structure my day around it. So and that's what people talk about is, if my day were to shift, my routine were to shift. If I were to adopt a graveyard shift, and now my mornings are really at night, my whole routine would shift to adopt that. When we go overseas, the same thing. Everything just shifts because it's not manageable. I'm not going to wake up at 4 a.m. if I'm not going to work until 2:30. That doesn't make any sense. I shift my entire day so I can get my full benefit. And a lot of that is because guys, especially, are sacrificial in nature. You're never going to take time for yourself. Never. You can't take a vacation. You can't go to a men's retreat. You can't do this. You can't do that because you got to provide. You got to raise kids. You got to be a good husband. You got to do this. You got to do all the other things. And before you know it, you've let yourself go. It's been 10 years. You can't draw me a diagram to the inside of your local gym. You don't golf anymore. You don't play pickup basketball with your buddies. You don't do anything. You don't have time. You don't make the time. Like, before you do that, you'll be on the wrong side of 50 and it's over for you. Like, I don't want that for anybody. I'm just trying to optimize your morning routine to give you the most bandwidth so when you do get home, now I can be a full-time dad. I can be a full-time husband because I'm not trying to compartmentalize or trying to juggle all these things at simultaneous times. If I have a purpose-built routine, then I can tailor it to what I need. I don't have time to do full fitness. What am I doing? 20-minute walk in the morning fasted. I'll wake up an extra 10 minutes early and I knock out a walk before I go to work. Easy. The average person can walk a mile in 20 minutes. I do it 3 times a day. 3 miles a day, 20 miles a week. Anybody can do that. Like, it doesn't have to be hard.
It's life-changing though. It really is. It's just having that structure.
I did a talk for some guys not too long ago, and I told them if I could give everyone in the room a singular gift, it'd be the power of that 20-minute walk, especially if you're married. Especially if you're married. Just walk. Like, literally, walk out of your driveway and walk 10 minutes in one direction, you and your wife, and turn around and come back. 10 minutes down, floor is hers. 10 minutes back, floor is yours. The best thing you've ever done, man. It'll help you digest your food, set circadian rhythm, you'll get better sleep, kickstart your metabolism, and it'll actually give you guys 10 minutes to speak instead of being on your phones. Let's go. Tell your friends, take a buddy. I mean, that's why I force the guys to do it. Do the 20-minute walk, man. It's only going to help you. I mean, if you sit outside of our shop, you'll see them, everybody does them. They'll all go out on lunch breaks, all 15 people, big 20-minute walk. But it's good. It allows them to sync up, it gets them outside, and it really helps with mental health. A job's stressful, man. Work is stressful. If you don't take time for yourself, you'll never find it. Sometimes you just got to make it.
The new year is approaching, and as always, Mulligan Brothers is doing its 2025 sale. So if you put the code in on the website, you can get buy one, get one free across the whole range, including the Not a Journal and the Memento Mori poster, an interactive poster that you fill in every single week, and it shows you how much life you've lived and potentially how much you've got left. Then somewhere along there is a square that will be my last square. It might have even been the square that I filled in last week, and I promise you, that fills you with the most motivation to make your life mean something and live with purpose. And the Not a Journal is a journal for just getting stuff done. I know so many of you have loved it, and that's why we've included it in the buy one, get one free with the link below. While stocks last. Once all the journals are gone, that is it, guys. As always, each year we do sell out, so make sure you get your orders in very quick. By purchasing something from the website, you're helping support us going into 2025 to be able to make even more incredible documentaries.
Yes, I think diving into the preparing yourself for the day, I think super interesting. We can create a really nice piece around it as well. But what does it look like, and what's the reasoning behind each thing?
So I love gamifying my life. Like when I have some type of schedule or ritual or something, I can just do the same thing over and over and over. But if I know it produces a result, now I'm like, there's like, I tap into some kind of universal secret. And, you know, I read a book called The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, and he was talking about like how you have the 20-20-20 formula, 20 minutes of intense exercise, 20 minutes of reflection, and then 20 minutes of growing your mind. And I was just like, man, I just started to build upon that. And I started to wake up earlier, go to sleep later because I'm less productive the later and later it gets, especially when you have a family and you have a kid, it's like a whole thing. I started to go to sleep earlier, and then I started to wake up earlier. And I realized that when I would wake up and nobody else was awake, there was just like this unwritten secret where I felt more connected to everything. Like no phone, no computer. It's just me and whatever thoughts are on my mind as soon as I wake up. And so I was playing around. I always like to test things. I'm playing around, and when I was single, I would wake up at 5 a.m. and then I'd go running or I'd go do something, but I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I'd be like, oh, I wake up at 5 a.m. club. This was all a status thing. Then I was trying to do that. And then my wife, you know, you get married, you'll start to see what your level of personal growth is, especially when you're married to a powerful woman. The dynamics started changing, but I started trying to operate like how I was operating when I was single while living in my house. But then there was this other person that had needs, wants, and desires. And I was like, man, I don't know how this is going to work if I know she's my person, but like, I don't think people realize partnership is collaboration. Partnership is not doing it the way you used to do it. And I'm just speaking a lot about this relationship because a lot of people don't get in it because they feel like they're going to miss out. Well, you know, Napoleon Hill says nature never takes away anything without replacing it with something of equal or greater benefit. The greater benefit was who Blair is to me started changing the way that I look at life, the details inside of the details. And so she had needs, wants, and desires by how she went to sleep and how she wake up and how much time she wanted of me. And I was like, well, I got to figure out a way to adjust. So I started to wake up earlier, you know, and I went from like 5 a.m. to maybe like just 5 minutes before. I was like, I just need a little bit of time for myself. And then we had a baby. And then a baby is, you never know when the baby's going to wake up. And then we got her on a sleep schedule, and then she'll wake up around 6:30 or 7:30, sometimes 8. But I need, me personally, an hour and a half to 2 hours of alone time. Just me by myself. I started noticing that I was better, safer, and more joyful to be around when I served myself first. Most people serve from their exhaust, and they give their wives or they give their husbands their scraps and wonder why the relationship goes to shit. I wasn't willing to play that game. So in the same fashion of creating a game that I actually like playing, I was like, well, what if I got up earlier? 4:20 made sense. I totally forgot. 4:20 was my dad's birthday. And so it on a deep subconscious level had a spiritual meaning for me. So I wake up at 4:20 in the morning, and I know that when I do something physical, it boosts my serotonin, lowers my cortisol levels, which is the fear hormone. And when I do something spiritual, like pray and meditate, it raises my vibration. And I know when I'm learning something, it expands my mind. So I built off of Robin Sharma's practice. And at first, the baseline was the 20-20-20 formula. And then anytime I get bored, I need to find something else to challenge me. Because if I get bored, that's where the freaking weeds don't need anything to grow but time. You know, so the weeds of your mind, it will overtake your mental garden if enough time goes. So I was like, what's the next challenge? Then I found this challenge of, let me see if I can just start training my breath different. So I wake up in the morning, no lights, because I don't want to mess with my circadian rhythm, and the radiation belt doesn't go up till some hours. And so if it's in the dark, then I'll be in the dark. There's no street lights. And at first I'm like seeing glowing eyes, and I go running, I'm seeing glowing eyes. I'm like, oh, what's that sound? And I was like, ooh, this is my new challenge. What if I could adjust to the night? And then I started adjusting to nighttime and the little creatures that are running. And then the more and more I became calibrated to the darkness, the more and more I became one with all of it, one with the trees, one with the sounds. And all of a sudden the sounds go away. And I'm like, all right, cool. Then I was like, what's the next challenge? Because that became so easy for me. The next challenge was, okay, how can I test my breath? And stop breathing through my mouth. And I started, breathing through my nose. And, I've run 64 miles over a mountain at one time. I stopped twice, done all kind of triathlons and marathons and freaking Ironman, half Ironmans. And I always had this specific breathing pattern. I was like, well, let me do something different that I'd never done before. Let me only breathe through my nose every 3 steps. Nobody taught me that. I was like, let me see what happens. I'm just always testing the market. So I go and run, and there's hills, and I'm like, I was like, I can't even get through 1 mile. That becomes my new teacher. And anytime I find something that knows more than me, I find a way to adjust to it. I'm like, let me see if I can get 1.5 miles. And I get 2 miles, and I'm going up and downhill, maintaining how can I stay as peaceful and as calm as possible while pushing my VO2 max up a hill. Difficult. After that one run, I come back home, argument with my wife, and all of a sudden I just go 2, 3, 2, 3. And all of a sudden the heat that normally comes up when I start to get angry, there was nothing there. I was like, I found another secret. So for the last 2 years, Monday through Friday, I wake up at 4:20 in the morning, and I go and I do life force training. You've heard of breath work. This is breath training. I will take my body through extremes and find the quickest way that I can find a state of peace in my breath. And no matter what, and I just keep doing it, and I keep doing it. And what I noticed was they measure lifespans based off of heart rate. This is lifespans. Right now, it's probably at 70. I think it's some crazy number like 69, 72 years. But they base it off the heart rate. When I went to go get my labs done, and then they tested the rate at which I'm breathing, they were like, wow, you have the lung capacity of an Olympic swimmer. And I don't even swim like that. But they're all, and I'm like, the only thing that I've done is I've elongated my breath and taken my body to the extremes only to choose peace the entire time. And they're like, wow. So what I ultimately did was I elongated the capacity for my lifespan because I'm not breathing in the same template than everyone else. And anybody who's ever done fighting, they see punches and kicks long before because of the instincts that they've trained in their body. Then the average person, like, oh my God, and they start flinching. So I've trained a certain instinctual behavior in my body that has me pattern, and I'm not even operating off the same calendar because I don't operate off of the time and the lifespan breathability because I've elongated that. So now everything that used to go like this now goes like this. And it matches my heart rate. And I was like, well, I'll be damned. I found a freaking golden nugget. So I just call it life force training. And this is what I do. I will put myself through extremes and see how quickly I can find peace through my breath. And then I just keep creating games like that. And time keeps bending. Time keeps slowing down. It's a human-made thing anyways. And interestingly enough, it started shifting the way skin sits on my body, and I started aging backwards. Or I started tapping into the frequency of my natural aging process instead of being in my human-made, forceful aging process. So instead of calling it the fountain of youth, I call it the fountain of you, capital Y-O-U. And that's ultimately my mornings.
Once I wake up in the morning, after then having a short 5-minute, 10-minute, just like sitting calm, sitting still. So when I come into my office, you maybe saw there is one meditation pillow on the carpet. I just sit down, close my eyes, put my hands into the center, focus on the breathing, and 5 minutes, 10 minutes just like arrive. Meaning, because when I'm sitting, there is no physical activity going on. So, which means you are not moving in a way. The eyes can also be shut. For me, the advantage of doing these things, what is nowadays maybe known as meditative practices, is that you have consciously actually shut down the senses of the body. So once the senses of the body, your inside world with the outside world is in a way not connected anymore, or there are no disturbances, that means you can be very intimate with the world of your thoughts. You actually literally see the thoughts coming and also realize if you keep a thought, if a thought is more easy to let go, if other thoughts come, despite the fact you want to let them go, they still try to stay. You realize such subtleties about your mind. So, and the reason why I sit sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, is just in order to make it blank. Just to blank it out. Until for myself, I feel like, okay, now it's just, I'm completely in, it feels like you're constantly in observation mode. You're just observing. You are not an actor inside of there anymore. If you catch a thought, this is what I would regard as now you're becoming an actor. You're starting now to play your movie. But being in observation mode, you don't really care what type of movie is now gonna happen. You're just observing. So this is the state where I wait until this hits in. So, and afterwards, have my first cup of tea just to start warming up the organs, and then just heading upwards. And in case Xiao Shen is awake, then we train together. If he's not there, I train alone. Yeah, because this type of training is now another, let's say it's another chapter within the day where actually I am priming and I'm conditioning myself to, let's say, to strengthen certain principles that I know will help me afterwards throughout the rest of the day, which is like, don't give up. Just like as an example, I don't know what type of email is going to come in. I don't know how many appointments I'm still going to have, let's say, on that day. The point is like this. Once I have an appointment, once I have something on my schedule, there is no way for me to give up and not appear there. So, and similar like this, I'm already saying to myself, this morning training is now like the small preparation. Because what I'm doing is all the time, you start slowly, of course, to warm yourself up, but then you push yourself. You push yourself to that point where you feel that thought is coming back, it's time to rest. And when the mind says it's time to rest, that's the point to keep going. That is that threshold which is going to make the difference afterwards.